what he's doing for the small and micro who are believing that the economy will boom up so that they make money out of it. We also want to know from the president what is going to be his size of government, because we are doing a supplementary budget that is reducing the expenditure for the whole country, particularly the executive. We want to see whether the president is giving us a promise of making leaner his size of executive when going forward. And we also want assurance that the industrial parks that have been started all over the Republic, there will be continued funding so that they bear fruits. I also want to hear what the president will say about the stalled infrastructure, because you know the government took a position that they are not going to start new projects until they complete existing ones. My constituency, West Mugirango, is a victim of that because it doesn't have any ongoing tarmac road. So I want to hear when are we completing all those that are ongoing, so that we also I want to hear my president talking about the pending bills of this country, because the pending bills, as I keep saying, are for that 30% of procurement going to women, persons with disability and youth. When we use these people to supply government and for years they don't get paid, it is a very disturbing thing, and I'm hoping that Mr. President will be telling the legislature what he's going to do about it.
We wish you a good listen. We will reconnect after the speech and get to hear whether the president addresses your concerns. The Member of Parliament for West Mugirango also speaking to us largely the expectations of the country, and you can imagine and you can understand they are on a high largely because Kenyans have a lot of expectations for this government, and particularly now that it is 1 year on since assuming office, and what are what is the level of promises and how have they been fulfilled by this administration so far. Those are the big questions that the government is grappling with today as the president makes his way to the chambers to address this bicameral parliament, and like I've told you, what is tabled here will be a subject of debate for the next 2-3 administration. Obviously is a hustler fund, which was a big promise for this administration, that once the hustler fund is available, it will be able to help businesses, more enterprises to be up on their feet, and therefore even access to capital. And you remember just around this year, the president announced the second phase of the hustler fund that will be available now to SACCOs and groups, and that has already been launched by the president. It's part of the key achievements of the administration, or a pre-election pledge that has been fulfilled by this administration. But largely, like it appears to be consensus, is that the huge weight of the high cost of living that continues to rest on the shoulders of Kenyans is the in regards to the war against corruption. That obviously is another center of focus, because the president really has been big on saying what he needs to do in order to deal with the systemic corruption that has plagued government and government systems. But has there been actionable steps towards that, or towards achieving that? That obviously is a big question, and when he tables that report here, it will also be a matter of debate in the chambers. Are there laws that need to be tightened? Are there laws that need to be enacted so that they can assist investigative agencies and the prosecutorial agencies of Kenya to prosecute corruption and get to deal with it once and for all? Those are the big questions in the minds of Kenyans this afternoon. A highly expectant nation that the president will finally months. But members of the National Assembly continue to troop into the Assembly or the Chamber together with their fellow counterparts from the Senate. And you remember, because of space, both houses will be congregating in the chambers, that is the National Assembly chambers, and not the Senate chambers. The Senate chambers can only accommodate about 67 people, but generally we will be dealing with about 347 members of parliament, and that will largely be it when all of them congregate in that chamber for the State of the Nation address by President William Ruto. It's only a matter of minutes now before the president addresses the chamber. But what will happen? Once the president arrives, he will only inspect a guard of honor mounted in his honor by the Kenya Defence Forces. And once he's done with inspecting that guard of honor, he will also receive him will be the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate, leaders of majority, leaders of minority, and other chambers will receive him, and then he.
The chief of the defense forces that is have had challenges, but I know he has had a plan for this nation, and I believe that he is going to explain as to how far he has executed the plan. I know he will also talk about agriculture, the effect of the fertilizer that he has given, the stabilization of the economy, and particularly the area of education, like juniors secular education. And there's a lot that we are expecting, particularly his plan for the starting the stored projects, and I believe he has got a plan because he has been working on this plan for some time, and I think that we are looking for a good year coming. It was difficult this year, trying to seal the gaps that have been there and to getting this country back, despite the challenges that are there worldwide. We know we have problems with Ukraine and Russia, Israel, and now Palestine, but we are also hoping that the rains that have come are also not going to put us into more problems. But I am looking forward for a good statement from the head of state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We wish you a good listen. We'll reconnect after the State of the Nation.
For sure.
Probably get to take stock of what the president has said. So that largely will be the center of the focus as you've conducted. Top of the agenda of what the president is expected to speak about this afternoon. But of course, in the midst of the ongoing rains, the El Nino rains, there's a general expectation that the president will come up with solutions, and particularly activate the disaster response plan for Northeastern Province, or the former Northeastern Province, because Wajir, Garissa and Mandera, some of those places have absolutely been marooned by the ongoing floods. But of course, now it's a matter of minutes. We await the arrival of the president. For now, back to you, studio.
Where he announced the vision of various rates of government services, where if you have lost...
Very well, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has just arrived at Parliament buildings. Remember, it's a bicameral parliament, meaning that both the MPs and the senators are already inside the building, and any moment now we expect the head of state to be making his way to Parliament. But before he enters Parliament, as you can see there, the Kenya Defence Forces have mounted a guard of honor, which they expect the head of state will be inspecting before he makes his way inside of Parliament. And as all Kenyans, including me, are waiting and eagerly waiting for his speech. We are expecting that the head of state will touch on the scorecard of the Kenya Kwanza government in the last 1 year. A number of things that we are also expecting the head of state to be touching on is the foreign policy. We have seen him in a number of trips. We have seen a number of MPs, a number of prime ministers, a number of envoys come to the country to ensure that. But first things first, let's first of all cross over to Parliament. We are expecting also, we will be reaching out to our editor Edward Kabasa, who is also at Parliament building together with the Bunge team, and also Abdi Aziz are also keeping tabs with what is transpiring there. But I can tell you that the MPs and the senators are already seated. Maybe the last ones are already making their way to the National Assembly, where we expect the head of state is going to be making his State of the Nation address, his first, his inaugural. And you do remember that a couple of years back, when we had already promulgated our constitution in 2010 and started actually using it, President Mwai Kibaki had a scorecard which majorly touched on matters devolution, because we were just setting up counties. When President Uhuru came in, he was the first person actually to start the counties in 2013, which was also a milestone. Now we are with the President William Ruto, who will be expecting to make his State of the Nation address amid a myriad of challenges in the country, including the implementation of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, the cost of living, the floods that are currently ravaging many parts of the country, and also we expect a number of clarifications in regards to a number of issues of who we expect the head of state will also be making. Let me now hand over to my colleague Edward Kabasa live in Parliament.
Out four. Teke hakuwa anaona kitu. Out four haraka.
Address a joint sitting of Parliament. This comprises the members of the National Assembly and the members of the Senate. This is going to be the second address by the head of state, President William Ruto. The first time he addressed this House was on 29th of September 2022, when he was opening officially the 13th Parliament. This special broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Edward Kabasa. I invite you to this live broadcast, which is also available on YouTube, courtesy of the Parliament of Kenya YouTube channel. That means you can watch this address on the go this afternoon, the 9th of November 2023. The State of the Nation address is delivered in accordance with Article 132, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which provides for the President to address a special sitting of Parliament once every year and may address Parliament at any other time. Once every year, the President is also expected to report in an address to the nation on all the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values referred to in Article 10, and to publish in the Gazette the details of the measures and progress under sub-paragraph. The head of state is further expected to submit a report for debate to the National Assembly on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic.
State addressed this Honorable House was on 29th of September 2022, and in that address he promised to implement the bottom-up economic agenda to create jobs and empower small businesses. The President also pledged to achieve the universal health coverage. In that address, the President also pledged to connect all Kenyans to the internet by 2030. These were promises that the head of state were making to the country. Being taken by the government to ensure national unity and cohesion. It is also worth noting that already there is a plan which is underway, spearheaded by the parliament, that political parties and all stakeholders come together in the form of a national dialogue which has been going on at the Bomas of Kenya. Of course, Parliament is at the center of this process. The 10-member dialogue team has for the last several months been deliberating on a number of topics and agenda comprising of outstanding constitutional matters, electoral justice and related matters, as well as entrenching funds into the constitution.